Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 2 of virtual social studies with Mr. Higgins. Let's get right into it. So first I gotta open up my flip chart for the day. And I do that by hitting this button, and then this button, and then this button, and then bam! Hopefully right now you're seeing my flip chart. As you can see on the agenda, this is what we have planned for today. First of all, I want to go over some announcements, just some things that I want you to know. After we get done with the announcements, I am going to talk to you about a new approach to map quizzes. I was thinking about it over the weekend. I think I have it figured out. And then last but not least, we'll get into today's lesson on immigration, kind of picking up where we left off before the pandemic interrupted our learning. The focus question for today is, how has immigration from Central America to the US changed over the last 10 years? And you'll be able to figure out the answer to that question, hopefully, through today's reading. And then as a second focus question, I wanted to look at how are we going to do map quizzes this year. So to start off with homework. Today, your first piece of homework is for you to complete the virtual pre-test for this week's map quiz, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. You can find that in the classwork section of my Google Classroom. And that needs to be completed today. It's just a pre-test. It's nothing that you need to study for. You're going to take a quiz one time and send it to me. I'll talk more about it later. Secondly, I am assigning a fact check today from a reading on immigration, and that's going to be due on Wednesday. And I'll talk more about that in a couple seconds too. All right, let me shrink that. There we go. Today's picture, look, there's LP. Oh, he is so cute. This is LP standing in the middle of a little brook. I got a lot of complaints last week in my video that I was favoring Rory over LP, so here you go. Oh, he's adorable. I also got a lot of questions, mostly from 7th graders actually, but about how and when are we doing Google Meets. We will eventually. My tentative date, which I think is going to be Thursday, but don't hold me to that. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to use Meet or Zoom. I'm still trying to figure all of that out. But what I can tell you is that when we finally get into Google Meets, they're just going to be used for discussion. Like, I am not going to instruct. I'm not going to do that instead of the video. Every day, my instruction will come through these types of videos. Google Meet or Zoom is just going to be for us to kind of get together, chat, ask questions in real time, that sort of thing. But that's coming, hopefully, Thursday, and I will have a Google video in which I announce the actual date. But for now, if you have questions, just email them to me. You can do that during my office hours, or you can do that any time of the day, and I'll get back to you ASAP. Oh, what have I been doing to keep busy over the weekend? I've been a little crazy. So you know that I have like all those Christmas decorations that I do. So I decided to create a social distancing safari in my yard so that the neighbors can think that I'm totally insane. I wanted to share it with you guys. It's not finished yet, but here's some images from it. There's my horse. There's my camel. Oh, there is the lion. And finally, there is my very tall giraffe. You can see him. He's over there in the corner too. Anyway, as you can see, Mr. Higgins has too much free time on his hands, and maybe he's going a little bit crazy because of this whole coronavirus thing. All right. Let's get into what we're here to do for today. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is this new approach to map quizzes. First of all, every week, just like when we were in regular school, we are going to focus on a different region to improve your geographic literacy. That just means to improve your ability to locate places on a map. And you'll be able to find the information about the weekly quiz under Google Classroom. Oh, I hate saying Google. And it'll be in the classwork section. So if you look there today after 9 a.m., there will be a doc that'll have a link to the quiz for the week. So this is how the map quizzes are going to work. We're going to start with Monday, today. Today, you're going to take the quiz for the first time and just send me your initial score, okay? You're also going to fill that out on the Google Doc, and you'll be able to see that when you open up the doc. There's a spot for Monday pretest, your first attempt. This is just your first try. You shouldn't use any study aids. It doesn't matter if it takes you a long time to get it done. It doesn't matter if your accuracy is really low. I just want to see, I want to have a record of what did you know at the beginning of the week so I can compare that to the end of the week, and hopefully you've grown. You're going to email that, take a picture of it, and then email it to me just like you did last time, if you're able to. If you're not, and you just got to fill out the sheet on the Google Doc and just write your time and score in there, that's okay. I get that we all don't have access to that type of technology, and it's no big deal. But if you can send me the picture, I would appreciate it. But so for today, what you're going to do is you're going to open up that Google Doc, and you're going to use the link, go to the website, take the quiz, and then record your initial score, and maybe send me an email of it. What you're going to do for the rest of the week, later on today, you can use some social studies time for it. Definitely tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursdays, you're just going to practice. You're going to keep taking that quiz over and over again, and hopefully in doing so, you're going to improve your geographic literacy. Your score is going to go up. You're going to know where more of these countries are, and you're going to be able to do it in a faster time. Now on Friday, what you're going to do is that's the post-quiz day, and Friday is your day to record your best score, okay? So what I want you to do on Friday is, again, take the quiz at some point during the day and write down your accuracy, like how many you got correct and the time it took you somewhere on that Google Doc. And if you can send me a picture of it, that's awesome. Now, I know what you're probably wondering is like, well, how are we going to grade this? And in all honesty, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to allow our student teacher, Rory, to figure that out. But I will tell you this. It is required that you do it. And what I'm going to be really looking at is growth, okay? And you can see that right here. Growth is the goal. What I mean by that is I want to see that you've improved your time, and most importantly, you've improved your accuracy from Monday to Friday. I'm not really sure how to grade that yet, but you know, I'll figure it out. And as soon as I know what I'm going to do as far as grades go, I will let you know about that. If anyone has any ideas, you know, I'm all ears. That was weird. Okay. Oh, you're probably wondering, what is this week's map quiz going to be on? Here we go. The 15 countries of North America. So the way that the website is set up, it divides, it's really by continent. So you already know a lot of these. We've been quizzed on the 8 Central American countries. Hopefully you still know where El Salvador is, and Honduras, and Belize. But if not, this is a way to refresh your memory. There's also some island nations, part of the Caribbean island map quiz that you were supposed to take right before the pandemic interrupted our learning. But this is going to be this week's quiz. It shouldn't be that tough. Next week's quiz on South America, I think there's going to be a bigger learning curve. We'll see how you do. So if you have any questions, email me today during office hours. All of this stuff that I just said is on the Google Doc that is located in the classwork section of my Google Classroom. Google. All right, moving on to today. So when we last left off, these pictures hopefully are a little bit familiar. We were talking about immigration, specifically immigration from Central America to the United States. And we looked at some pictures. These are some examples of those pictures. Remember, people thought initially this was a parade or a celebration. We saw the desperate lengths that people were going to leave their countries in Central America and come to the United States. And then finally, we looked at what happened when they arrived and they were met by Border Patrol agents. We're going to continue our study of that starting today, and we're going to return to the reading that we were doing right before the last day of school. I don't know if you remember that. If you have a copy of it, we're going to do a read aloud. And you can tell I am looking super cool in this read aloud, but the problem here is if you look at these kids, social distancing, what's going on? Why are they so close to Mr. Higgins and each other? That's not cool anymore. My shades are cool, but not using social distancing, not cool. If you have the reading, it looks like this. Can you even see that? Oh, you kind of can't look at me. You could take it out. If not, don't worry about it. But I want to do like I'm going to read it aloud to you right now, and just so that you can hear it that way as well. Although I think there's a feature in Google where you can have it read it to you. Google Speak or Google Read Aloud or Google, I don't know, something. But here we go. I'm going to read to you real quick. This land is your land. This land is my land. An introduction to the issue of immigration. Immigration has always been an important part of the United States. The Pilgrims, who arrived in what would become Massachusetts in 1620, were immigrants. The founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, were descendants of immigrants. Most people living in the United States today can trace their family heritage back to a time when their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents came to the United States from some foreign country. The United States has more immigrants than any other country in the world. Of the 327 million people living in the USA today, just over 40 million of them were born in another country. Most immigrants that come to the US do so legally. About 77% of the immigrants living in the United States today acquired permission from the US government and were given green cards or visas. Roughly 45% of those immigrants have chosen to become naturalized citizens. Citizens in the United States are classified as natural-born citizens if they were born in the US or their parents are citizens, or naturalized citizens, people who were born in foreign countries but then decided to move to the US and become a citizen. Paragraph 2. About 23% of immigrants living in the United States did so illegally, without obtaining permission from the United States government. These immigrants either snuck across the border or entered legally on a temporary visa and did not leave after the time allotted by their visas ended. The government estimates that there are approximately 10.5 million people living in the United States illegally. Historically, 90% of the people who crossed the southern border of the US illegally came from Mexico. These people were single adult men who were looking for work. They would pay smugglers, known in Mexico as coyotes, to help them avoid US Border Patrol agents. Over the course of the past 3 years, the composition of migrants trying to cross the border into the United States has changed dramatically. Since 2017, most migrants crossing the border are not single adult men from Mexico. A vast majority of the people trying to cross the southern border are from the Northern Triangle countries of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, 3 countries with high rates of poverty and violence. From January to August of 2019, 457,871 migrants were apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol agents, and they arrived as family units, meaning adults with children, who were seeking asylum. Seeking asylum means that a person is asking the U.S. for protection because they cannot return to their home country due to the threat of violence. In the past, most migrants snuck across the border undetected and started living or working in the United States. The migrants seeking asylum have been surrendering to Border Patrol agents upon arriving at the U.S.-Mexican border instead of trying to sneak across. Last paragraph. Whew, thank goodness. After migrants are in Border Patrol custody, they're placed in vans and taken to processing centers along the border. Government officials collect biographical information from the migrants, including names, birth dates, and fingerprints to run criminal background checks. The migrants are held in U.S. custody until they can make their case for asylum before a judge. The number of cases jumped from over 5,000 in 2008 to more than 250,000 in 2017. It's a big difference. In 2018, the U.S. granted asylum to roughly 13% of Central American migrants who were seeking protection from the U.S. Okay, whew, that took me a while. You have a copy of that reading, maybe a paper copy if you remember to bring it home from school, but if you don't, there is a copy in this classwork section. It's now on a Google Doc, and you can open that up or print that out however you want to access it. Your task today is going to be to complete the fact check that goes along with that reading comprehension exercise. But before we do that, did I just move myself? I think I moved myself. Did it move on your screen? I don't know. I want to make sure that you guys understand that there are different types of evidence when we're doing reading comprehension. We did this lesson before the pandemic interrupted our studies, but I want to review it with you really quick because you're going to need to know this when completing today's fact check. Two types of evidence that you need to be familiar with as sixth graders are direct quotes and statistics. Direct quotes are when you use the exact words of the author in your answer. You put the exact words in quotation marks, and you give credit to the author. So for example, according to the article, quote, immigration has always been an important part of the United States. The Pilgrims who arrived in what would become Massachusetts in 1620 were immigrants, end quote. That's an example of using a direct quote. Statistics, I'm guessing, are probably something that's a little bit new for you, although we did talk about this right before the break. I remember I had an example in which I said there were 40-something students on our team, and Lucy corrected me and reminded me that there were only 38 of us. Oops. Statistics are number-based facts, okay? It's data. So for example, 2 out of 2 videos made by Mr. Higgins were both educational and entertaining. That would be a statistic. 36 out of the 38 students on the Cormorant team love social studies, also a statistic. And I want to know who those 2 students who don't love social studies are. We're going to figure that out. And finally, Mr. Higgins is funny 100% of the time. Definitely a statistic. But remember, just because there's a date or a number in there doesn't mean that it's a statistic. Dates, for example, are not statistics. When it said the Pilgrims arrived in 1620, that's not a statistic. If it said that 50% of the Pilgrims died on the trek over across the Atlantic, that would be a statistic. I don't know if that's true, by the way. Okay, before I let you go for today, because I feel like this video is probably like 8 hours long. Last slide, come on. There it is. Your task is to complete the fact check. The fact check is not due until Wednesday. I'm giving you a little bit of extra time because in all honesty, I don't know how long it's going to take you. So I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed. If you finish it today, awesome. But if you don't finish it today, you know you can finish it tomorrow. And as long as I have it by midnight on Wednesday night, you're good to go. The fact check is located in the classwork section of my Google Classroom. A copy of both the fact check and the reading can be found there. Okay, so if you don't have your reading, don't sweat it. What you're going to do is you're going to open up the fact check and you're going to type right on there your answers. Everyone has their own copy, and when you're done, you're going to submit it and send it to me. This is the first time I've ever done this, so hopefully it works. Fingers crossed. Make sure you use the reading to help you out. This is a reading comprehension exercise, so don't just use your memory. Don't Google the answers, and do some research. That's not what this is. This is a reading comprehension exercise to measure your comprehension of the reading that I just did. Pay close attention to the detailed instructions. Oh, look, the detailed instructions, a typo on my flip chart. That's weird. The detailed instructions given for each question, because sometimes it's going to say like, hey, for your answer, make sure you use a statistic, or for your answer, make sure you use a direct quote. So make sure you're paying attention to that or you won't receive full credit. All right, guys, this is the end of today's video. Ooh, it's a long one. I hope you guys are holding up well. I hope the sun comes out again soon because seriously. If you have questions, shoot me an email during my office hours, and I hope all is well. Hold on while I figure out how to stop my screen share. There it is. Rory's sleeping right now. I'm not going to wake him up. And I think that's everything. We out.